You're watching ITV News Central. Still to come on the programme, the Brummies in bronze chosen to represent the city's 21st century family. A national sperm bank has opened in Birmingham to combat a growing shortage of donors in the UK. It'll be based at Birmingham Women's Fertility Centre, and it hopes to reduce waiting list times for women hoping to become mothers, as well as allowing them to match samples based on criteria such as race and religion.
Well, we're joined in the studio by Dr. Sue Avery, a director from Birmingham Women's Hospital. Dr. Avery, thank you for joining us. Tell us, why is there a shortage of sperm donors?
Well, there are two reasons. There was a change in the law back in 2005 that removed anonymity for sperm donors, and that reduced the number of men coming forward because they were concerned about that. The other thing is there's been a huge growth in demand. People feel that it's easier to come forward now for all forms of fertility treatment because there's an awful lot more openness, and of course for treatment using donor sperm. And we're seeing increasingly women choosing to be single mothers who want donated sperm, and also same-sex couples who are coming forward who also need donated sperm.
We were talking there a little bit about the matching up of a potential mum with the donor sperm. In terms of the specifics of the criteria, just how detailed are they allowed to be? Well,
given that there's not a huge number of donors to choose from, we try and match physical characteristics as closely as possible. But certainly we will want to match the ethnic background, and often patients will want the religious background matched as well. It's very important in many cases to have someone from the same religious background. And that's one of the reasons why we want to recruit in Birmingham, because we want to reach as diverse a population as possible, because our patients are from a very diverse population.
So how are you recruiting those sperm donors? What are you doing?
Well, the point of this launch today is to launch the campaign, which is being run via a website called Very Special Man, because we want to try and convince men that this is a fantastic thing to do. You're helping people to build families, and those donors who come forward are very special. It's a wonderful thing to do. There's no greater gift that you can give to someone than to help them to have a family.
Although there might be some people watching this saying that there is, an ethical issue around this, particularly when you come into the selection of the baby that you're going to have in terms of, colour or hair colour or eye colour or background. How do we weigh that up?
Oh, well, that's why we match people with a donor that physically matches them. We don't allow them to choose, to say, well, actually, I'd like to have a child with blonde hair and blue eyes. It doesn't match me, but that's what I'd like to have. It isn't about the designer baby concept. That's why we say we want to make it as close to the natural situation as possible, so you're going to have a child that matches you as closely as possible. So your choice is really around your characteristics that you want matched that are important, but it isn't a matter of a free choice of anybody you want and any colouring you like.
Dr. Sue Avery, thank you very much for joining us.
Thank you.
A knitwear company is hoping for a surge in sales after winning the chance to sell its products in a London store. The firm beat off hundreds of competitors for the right to sell its novelty Christmas jumpers.
And as Phil Brewster reports, it's good news for an industry that has seen much of clothing production move abroad.
Between them, sisters Pat Wheeler and Shirley Jackson have more than 80 years' experience in the rag trade. Currently, they're putting all that know-how to good use at this knitwear firm in Leicester, but can remember a time when the whole city was awash with factories making clothing.
When I was first in hosiery, you could just go out and get a job straight away. There was factories next door, across the road, in town, but now there's not many left, is there?
No.
Sadly, during the 1980s and 1990s, much of that production went overseas as companies went in search of cheaper labour costs. Even today, the family that runs the business admits it's tough competing with factories abroad.
Our minimum wage here is at the moment £6.50, and that might go up to £8. To go to somewhere like China and India, they're paying people 50 rupees a day, which is about 50p a day. In China, you're looking at $2 a day, which is again £1, £1.20.
But one way companies like this can compete is quick turnaround, spotting fashion trends which can be turned into products hitting UK stores in weeks rather than months. Their current drive is making novelty Christmas jumpers, which became all the rage a couple of years ago.
Got a nice Christmas in London for men's and ladies. We've got one that appeals to our Scottish friends, a Christmas in Scotland with a lovely tartan design. We've got ones for American friends, a Christmas in New York. Paris, Christmas in Paris with a nice Eiffel Tower for ladies.
To show their commitment to UK knitwear manufacturing, the company took on Georgia Powell as an apprentice just over a year ago. She says it's given her real hands-on experience.
Everyone's like this big knitwear family, and it's really good because you get to see different roles of how everyone makes the jumpers, how it just goes from a bit of yarn to the actual jumper.
But with sales slowly rising and labour costs abroad going up too, some in the industry are hopeful clothes manufacturing could make a permanent comeback in the UK.
How would it make you feel if suddenly it became a booming industry again?
Oh, great. Yeah.
Gorgeous.
Yeah.
See it all bustling.
Yeah. Start training again, yeah.
Any return to the glory days of UK clothes manufacturing is unlikely. But in one small corner of the East Midlands, they're doing their bit to make it happen. Even if it might mean a call to the fashion police for crimes against taste. Phil Brewster, ITV News, Leicester.
Do you think they have to wear the jumpers every day to work?
Yes,
as a uniform.
So yeah, I think they're fun, aren't they?
Yeah, superb. Now, the former Leicester Tigers player Matt Hanson is well on his way to building a state-of-the-art rehabilitation centre for seriously injured sports people. Matt set up a foundation to help injured young people after he was paralysed from the neck down while training with the England squad 9 years ago.
£220,000 has already been pledged, which will make his dream a reality far sooner than he expected. Jane Hesketh reports.
This is what Matt Hanson would like to build, a rehab centre for people with the most serious injuries. He's calling it the Get Busy Living Centre. There'd be the latest treatments and therapies, as well as counselling for patients and their families, all in a tranquil setting in the Leicestershire countryside. Matt spent 17 months in hospital after his accident, and that's when he had the idea for a specialist centre.
It all stemmed from my experiences. When I was in hospital, I really struggled in the fact that I didn't really have a mentor. I didn't really have somebody to bounce ideas off and sort of see that there is a light at the end of the tunnel and there is hope.
A gala dinner hosted by the actor James Corden gave the fund a substantial boost, raising over £220,000.
When you're told about someone like Matt and what he's been through and what he's decided to do, you can't help but be humbled by it, really. For someone to go through something like that and make a choice to not let it destroy them, to go, oh, well, I'm just going to deal with this and try and do something, is only inspiring.
Matt's under no illusions about the challenges he faces, but he wants to do it to inspire others.
To kit out the rehab centre with state-of-the-art equipment is going to cost a substantial amount of money. So you say £500,000, but that's just sort of just to build the place. After that, is to kit it out is going to be quite a considerable amount of money.
Matt's probably the busiest person around. He does so much, and I think that's another thing, that to show people that you can do all these different things. And Matt travels, he goes to different countries, he goes on holiday, and I think you need to know that anything's possible, really, at that early stage. Yeah.
James Corden has pledged his continued support and says he's looking forward to walking through the door on the day that it opens. Jane Hesketh, ITV News, Cold Overton in Leicestershire.
Some news that's coming to us while we've been on air actually this evening. 2 people have been injured after a fireworks factory caught fire in Stafford this evening. Crews were called to Tilken Avenue at around 5:15. More than 25 firefighters are currently at the scene, along with police and paramedics. And we'll have the latest on this on our late bulletin and, of course, on our website, itv.com/central.
A little later on ITV. How good is your maths? Well, half of British adults have the numeracy skills that are normally expected of primary school pupils.
Business leaders say it's a growing problem and will impact the economy. And as David Wood reports, it seems most people have a fear of maths that dates back to their childhoods.
Why was 10 afraid of 7?
I don't know.
7, 8, 9.
For many, maths isn't a laugh. It's something we're forced to learn in school and then many will forget in later life. But it's impossible to escape numbers. Whether it's 4-4-2 or 4-5-1, they're essential to the football field. But how did these players cope with a basic maths test?
I didn't realise how much I'd forgotten. It was quite shocking. I have to go to my 9-year-old math for help.
But we use the simple stuff, but then when you give us like a little mini exam like this, it takes some proper brain work to sort of think.
And the players aren't alone struggling with the sums. 17 million adults in England have numeracy levels that you'd normally expect in primary school children.
What is the opposite, Bertie, of multiplication?
Although schools are trying to improve maths teaching, experts say negative attitudes to the subject start at a young age.
We think the biggest challenge overall is that it's socially acceptable in this country to say, I can't do maths. Something you'd never say about reading or writing. And that's incredibly damaging. It's damaging for you as an individual, it's damaging for your kids. We know, for example, from international research that good numeracy is the best protection against unemployment, low wages and poor health.
To try and reverse students' fear of maths, teachers are working with a new curriculum.
How much of each are you going to use? 100, 150, right.
It's been designed to improve the image of the subject and make it more accessible.
To them, they probably feel like they're not doing numeracy, but you know, on that level, they are actually still learning and still using their numeracy skills in a hands-on way. So use your fingers if you need to. When you look through children's books, and you're not just seeing addition after addition, you're seeing photographs of children actually using their skills. I mean, it just brings numeracy to life for the kids as well.
And while research shows students here are above average in problem solving, of 65 economies surveyed, ours comes just 26th in math skills. So business leaders of today will hope their employees of tomorrow learn to love the sums. David Wood, ITV News.